We got barbecue shrimp, fried shrimp, boiled shrimp, shrimp kebab, lemon shrimp, garlic parmesan shrimp, shrimp salad.
Now you look like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Hey, in West Philadelphia, born and raised. On the playground is where I spend most of my days.
Go, yeah.
NOCC, what does that mean to you? Really dive into this, and I thought it was extremely special that we were going to actually get the opportunity to speak to a survivor. Anyway, it's getting hot in here.
It is hot in here.
Whew, okay, maybe like a I don't know, dude. Maybe like a koala bear mixed with a sloth or something. Get Tom Cruise in there, and all of a sudden, in 3, 2, 1, welcome to Midwest Mayhem. He is Chad Christensen.
What's up, y'all?
I am Tron Smith. I'm telling you, man, we've had a lot of special guests on this show. Man, we're taking this thing to a whole nother level.
It's a big day.
We're going through, and I'm not going to spill the beans here, right? I'm going to wait and I'm going to let these special guests come in and do what they do and be great. But here's what we got to do before we do that, right? I mean, because if we get down this thing and we don't thank some very important people, we're all going to be in trouble. Well, actually, you're going to be in trouble.
I'm always
going to
be in trouble. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm going to blame it all on you. You and Riley, both of you guys are going to be done, right? So as we get through this, we always want to thank Wilson Toyota. 2212 South Duff Avenue, just a short drive from anywhere in the metro. And I'm telling you, if you want to be treated right, and that's the big thing about when you buy a car, man, you can buy a car wherever you want. What's the difference, right? The difference is, man, how are you going to be treated? So if you want a guaranteed good customer service, 2212 South Duff Avenue, Wilson Toyota, our proud sponsor. And we're always doing something, right? I'm always saying, dude, we're doing something. We're always
constantly
in the community. If you want to check us out, and you would think I know this by now, right?
I would think you would, yes.
If you want to check us out on Instagram or Twitter, we're at Wilson of Ames. And at Facebook and TikTok, if that's your thing, we're at Wilson Toyota of Ames. And of course, if you want to get down with the get down and roll with the big dog, you can always hit me up on Twitter. That's at Big Strong, 2 G's when you're as big as I am, and at Big Strong 1 on that Insta chat, right? Hey, I'm just saying, man, you got to holler at your boy, right?
That's what we do. I hear it so much. I mean, we're on the Gulf Coast the other day, and you're like, get down with the big dog.
Hey, get down with the big dog. But listen, I got some special guests that want to get down with the big dog, so I'm gonna have
Let's do it.
I'm gonna throw you off.
Here we go again, everyone.
So I'm gonna try to tie this hat and your tie into this podcast.
Get it? Let's do it.
And the only way I can do that is to throw you off.
Is to kick me out. So I'll be back.
So get out of here, right? We got some special guests. We'll get in here.
We have Shonna Swartz coming in. And it's just an extremely special guest. And I have been studying. Shonna, how are you?
I'm good.
Right? I have been studying some of this deal. And I just want to say something. To most people, if I was to say, what is NOCC? I would say most people, probably even in my organization, has no clue what that means. We want to change that today. We want to make sure that everybody understands what this organization is and what they do and what part you play. So what I'm going to say to you is, NOCC, what does that mean to you?
It means that we're here to support survivors who are going through an ovarian cancer journey, not only here in Iowa, but across the entire nation. And we are just so thrilled to be here because Wilson has decided to partner with us.
Yeah, and that's a great thing. So NOCC, National Ovarian Cancer Coalition, and if I read this right, I've been reading your information, and I'm going to apologize to you. Not that we don't care, not that we're not a part of, but until someone brings it to your attention, things like this have a tendency to go unheard of and unspoken of. So I'm glad that you folks are here and we're having this conversation. But it sounds like this started way back in 1991.
Yeah, the organization has been around for a long time. And it's funny that you mentioned that if we don't bring it to your attention, you're not going to know, because there is no preventative screening for ovarian cancer. It's known as a silent killer.
Wow, it's funny. It's like you were reading my notes, because that was one of my things that I wanted to ask you about. What is the when we talk about awareness and things like that, how important is it? And is there any kind of is there any risk? I mean, is there any symptoms, or is this just something that someone would have to be checked to make sure that they're...
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no pre-screening, so there's no check. Women just have to be their own advocates and aware of the signs and symptoms: bloating, abdominal pain, feeling full frequently, and really just have to advocate for themselves and be asking those questions at the doctor's offices.
Wow. So here's the thing that I thought was really cool about NOCC. I think when you have a lot of things and you see it, they have a tendency to support the patient extremely high. But as I read into the NOCC and how they do, they support everybody, the families, people that are, I mean, I just think that was cool. Was that something that was always important for you guys to say, not just the patient, we want to make sure everyone around them is also being supported as well?
Absolutely. The survivors care team is really extended beyond their doctors. It's their families, their loved ones, their friends, their coworkers. And the NOCC wants to be able to provide programs and services that support the entire unit to really encompass that healing and everything that cancer survivor is going to need on their journey.
And I've studied this thing. See, me, I'm usually, I don't look into anything. They'll tell you I like to just learn the day of. I'm better. But for some, I really wanted to dive into this and to find out that this is like everywhere. I mean, this is all 50 states. You guys have different regions. I mean, this is awesome. I had no idea. I mean, again, I got to apologize again. Not that I don't care. I mean, I truly think this is unbelievable. Man, all 50 states are a part of this thing, and I think that's just awesome that the NOCC is there to support people and what they do. So tell me about this. I can keep you here all day, but I won't do that. If I was to say, Shonna, together in teal, what would that mean to you?
Together in teal is a outward symbol of our inward feeling of always wanting to be together with our teal sisters. Awesome.
So I'm going to say this right here. So on September 30th, right? Am I reading this right?
September 30th.
September 30th. We're
Raccoon River Park, West Des Moines.
Yeah.
Be there at 9 o'clock.
Be there at 9 o'clock. You guys hear this?
Register today.
And be there.
Togetherinteal.donordrive.com.
Can you give it to them one more time?
Togetherinteal.donordrive.com. Register. Awesome. It's free. Everybody's welcome. We just want to make an impact and be there for our survivors together in teal.
Perfect. And that's I got one more question for you because I think it's an important question. As an organization, a company, as an individual, if my company or me as an individual wants to get involved, wants to be a part of, wants to donate, wants to come out, maybe we want to come out and help you guys do some work, whatever the case may be, how would someone or some company do that? Sure.
You can contact me directly. Email. It's Swartz, SSSS, kind of like the double G, SSWARTZ @ovarian.org is my direct email, or you can look us up online at ovarian.org.
100%. We will get that posted as well. Shonna, I appreciate you and everything that you're doing. I just think it's awesome. NOCC, I will tell you, we'll be there.
I know, we're looking forward to it.
We'll show up. They don't get me to a lot of things, right? I usually say no, but I'm saying yes to this one. So we'll be there. I'll make sure Chad's there because he won't want to be there. I'll make him, right, because I'm bigger than he is. And we'll show up. We definitely want to be a part of. So I appreciate you coming on and doing that. And I got another special guest I'm going to speak to. So I'm not going to kick you off. I'm just going to ask you to slide to the side.
Thank you so much. Yes.
A very special guest with us today, Deena Raber. How are you?
I'm fabulous.
So I had the opportunity to really, really dive into this, and I thought it was extremely special that we were going to actually get the opportunity to speak to a survivor. So I appreciate you being here. If you wouldn't mind, can you share a little of your story for me and everyone else here at Midwest Mayhem?
Okay. This July, I will actually be a 15-year cancer survivor. I was first diagnosed in 2008. Then I recurred in 2011 and then again in 2018. So I've had kind of a long journey with this beast of cancer. And my first walk with the NOCC was in 2009.
Oh, wow.
So, and it was held at Gray's Lake then. And the next year they switched, I believe, to Raccoon River. So I did a lot of fundraising on my own, getting large teams together. I had a great support from family and friends and coworkers, and it really brings this sense of sisterhood and community to, this experience you're having. So it really helps.
And I keep hearing the same word over and over, and this is where I think the NOCC really, really plays a part. The support is going to be important through this, and just a lot of people have families, some people don't have families, so to have that sisterhood of a big group coming in and saying that. And I asked, when I had Shonna on earlier, I asked her the same question, and and maybe I get the same answer, that's fine, maybe we'll get something different. But my biggest thing was, early awareness. what should ladies be doing to, if you feel this way or maybe you don't feel this way, what should they do?
You really have to be in tune to your body and listen. That's so important. I struggled with severe abdominal pain and landed in the emergency room on multiple occasions and still was not diagnosed. There is no test they can give you that tells you have ovarian cancer. And even after my hysterectomy, that was when I found out that I had cancer. So there's no pap smear that detects ovarian cancer. There's, really nothing they can do to tell you before you have a surgery or, anything like that will indicate that you have this disease.
So, well, just from hearing the answer you gave me and the answer that Shonna gave me, I can tell you, be early and be active. As a woman, make sure that you're checking if something doesn't seem right or something doesn't feel right. Make sure that you think, hey, let's go find out. And I think it's got to be a scary situation for a lot of people. So that's where I think the NOCC comes in to go out there and hopefully more ladies go out and they support whether you feel like you have or you don't have or you're a survivor or not. I think it's probably important that more women get out and maybe they can get those, again, non-symptoms. But man, if I feel weird, I want to do that and get out there. So how did the NOCC support you and your family when you were going through?
It basically was the sisterhood and getting to meet other cancer survivors and being able to share stories. And when I was first diagnosed, I was just overwhelmed because I had no idea what ovarian cancer really was. So being able to congregate with these other women and get the information about, all these symptoms that I had overlooked before I was diagnosed. And so it's just a really great organization to give you that, those extra educational type things that help you as a female. And along the walk, they will have signs that say, give you some of the signs like bloating or abdominal pain. And some of my friends would walk with me and say, did you have that? Did you experience that? And I mean, they don't know. People don't know. So women really have to pay attention and listen to their bodies and be adamant with doctors and, just
be active, be early.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Be active, be early.
It's so important.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing. I'm gonna speak to all my men out there. Whether you be a husband or a son or a brother, whatever the case may be, encourage the women in your life, if they feel different, if it's not right, to go out there. And I'll tell you, if you're not busy, it's September 30th, you show up. I would love to see a lot of guys out there getting it, because I tell you, the more you know, the more aware you can be, the more active you can be in things. So I appreciate you for coming in and sharing your story, and I appreciate Shonna for coming in here and giving us the opportunity. And man, I appreciate the NOCC for being there. So September 30th, we'll be there. It'll be NOCC and Wilson Toyota, and we'll hang out. So thank you. And hey, we'll go together in teal.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You told me a pretty interesting story. You want to share that with the folks?
I can share it, actually. So ovarian cancer actually affected my family. And when the ladies were talking about not having signs or to people not going to get themselves checked out, right? Ladies going and just taking kind of a proactive approach when they don't feel right. So my grandma, who was, I always called her like the queen,
glue.
She was the glue that held the family together. Good word there. And she was 100 pounds dripping wet, but she controlled the room and she controlled the family. She was awesome. Well, anyway, we had a situation where by the time she went to the doctor, it was over. They gave her months to live, and it ended up being ovarian cancer, and she didn't make it. But it's, as I was sitting here listening to the ladies speak, I was just like, the symptoms that they were saying is symptoms that my grandma was going through.
They were all there.
The bloating in the stomach and the pains and the lack of appetite and the inability to want to do anything.
Yeah. So, it really got to thank those ladies for coming on, because even for me, it's like, man, you think about just some of the things they were saying, and it's like, man, I hear my wife say, she feels this way or she feels that way, and I'm not a worry person. I don't worry, but I like to be preventative. So I'm the kind of guy. I'm the last guy to go to the hospital, but I'm the first guy to make you go, kind of a deal.
Right.
So I really, really appreciate it. And you think about with your grandma, man, if we'd have just had. If we'd have just known about the NOCC.
If there would have been organizations or support groups around that people had the ability to reach out to.
Awareness,
more than right.
anything.
And this happened a long time ago, but still, to think that she didn't have anything around her for support except for family. And when they brought up the family thing too, how much it affected the family. And this goes to all you out there. If you have the ability to go and get the support for the family as well as for the person who is surviving, the family pretty much fell apart after she passed. Yeah. She was the glue, and everyone kind of went their own directions afterwards. So it affected not only her but all of us.
So I tell you, man, be a part of September 30th. Make sure if you're available, come out, hang out with us. Again, I can't thank Shonna, Swartz, and Deena Raber enough for coming in, and Deena sharing her story, which was extremely awesome. And thank you, Chad, for sharing your story. So I'm calling out everybody. If you're available, September 30th, I'm pretty sure it's Raccoon River.
Hey, and I will tell them if they show up, there might be a site to see of something that Chad's going to do. I'm just saying.
The last podcast, I was talking about accelerate and being in Texas and what Toyota, and we talked about the 4 pillars of Toyota with that, inclusivity, Kaizen, Genchi Genbutsu, and together, people thinking of people together.
Correct.
I'm saying that correctly, but so I gave you a little homework.
Well, let me start off by saying, before we get into it, that doing a little bit of the research and reading about us as a company, it makes total sense of why we're successful.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? So it just took me 4 years to figure it out.
Wow, man!
Sorry, man.
Hey, some people learn faster than others, right? You're you're what we call a slow learner.
Yeah.
That's
What'd you say?
Yeah, there you go. You got company.
Yes.
But I gave you a homework assignment.
Correct. You did.
I asked you last week what Kaizen meant, and you told me
You did.
Huh? Right.
Yeah.
So today I'm gonna ask you again. Kaizen.
Yes.
What
So
is it?
I actually summed it up in literally 4 words, but it's obviously more than that. I summed it up as change for the better with continuous improvement.
Yes.
So really what I think it entails is, and I wrote down, because this was right on our site here as part of this, but it said it improves the efficiency not only with the equipment but with the procedures when you're continuously trying to get better.
100%.
It just, and I think that's what I took away from it all is it's what we strive to do. Mm-hmm. It's when we talk about great, you can never be great unless you continue to improve.
There is no best. There's only
there is
better.
no best, right? So when you break it kind of down, it's continuous improvement.
Yeah.
How do we better ourselves, right? I think part of it that I threw in there and wrote down was it helps maximize the quality, right? And then it helps eliminate waste by doing all of these things.
Eliminate waste.
Eliminates waste.
Wow.
Wasteful time, wasteful procedures.
Wasteful people?
Could be. We might have to talk about that at some point.
Interesting, right?
So, yeah.
Sometimes to take that challenge on as an organization is pretty tough. But I will give you Toyota's Kaizen continuous improvement creates a culture where employees throughout the organization are actively engaged with improving productivity.
And I think the word active is the biggest word in the whole sentence.
Actively engaged,
Active.
right? So
Yep.
you think about it, that means all your employees are striving, pushing, driving to be better. That means everybody's,
Right.
it's like Finding Nemo, right? When they're trying to get the thing to go back down, everybody's swimming in the same direction. Just
Right.
keep swimming,
Right.
kind of a deal. But think about this. Really put this in perspective as an organization. If you're out there, you're an organization, I want you to start thinking about this. That means your detail department, they have so much attention to detail that they want to make sure that every car that comes out of their department is exactly perfect. And then after they do that car, they try to make it better on the next car. And that's at the detail
How do we
level,
improve? Yep.
right? You think about your finance department doing whatever they take to get the customer in the perfect coverage situation. And then the next deal, they're trying to make it better moving forward. You think about, all these different departments, your service department striving to make sure that they
Collision.
give every
Correct.
customer the best quality. And so your entire organization is going forward, which really kind of prevents you from becoming an average dealer.
And I think that's the whole point of it, is when we talk about actively improving, right? We've talked about the department stores. We've talked about these different, you know, I don't even know, Bed Bath & Beyond, whatever one it was. People
Bed
that
Bath
didn't
Beyond.
succeed, right?
Well, Bed
because
Bath
they
Beyond
didn't
missed it.
move forward. Right. They missed it. And I think if you have a structure in place that is always continuously looking to get better, looking to improve, not as the person on top, but as an organization. And then it filters down through the organization to the detail department, to the collision center, to the service center, to the sales department. Yeah. It can only make things better if everyone is on the same page. And you want me to really go deep on this? If you're not on the same page, what are you doing here?
Well, I think it starts at the top when it comes to being on the same page and going in the same direction. And when I say at the top, I don't mean in Danny Wilson's office. I mean the guy that's leading our detail department, the guy that's leading our service department. Are these guys on the same page, and do they want to get better? Because the truth of it is sometimes in your organization, you have people that are okay with being average. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you think about it, man, average is a common thing, right? You think about how many sales managers, how many of you sales managers out there sit down and you tell your salespeople, hey, you at least need to sell 10 because that's what the average sales guy sells.
That's right.
Right? Why would you tell your salespeople to be average, right? You're pushing people to be average. Right. I have this written on my desk, and I'll share it with everybody. Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far they can go. Right? It takes you got to take those risks. You got to be able to push. As a leader, you got to be able to think outside of the box, and you got to always think about, man, how do we get better? Sometimes that makes organizations uncomfortable. Right? It's hard to dive into yourself. Because if you're a good organization, you feel like you're comfortable. You think about how many companies are like, dude, we do well. The owner's making good money. Yeah. The sales manager making good money. The salespeople are making good money. And what happens is you get a lot of contentment. You get a lot of salespeople that relax. Right? They're okay with the money that they're making, or they don't have that push to. And it's not about making more money. It's just a push to be better. Right. That allows your entire organization to flatline.
And it's crazy how some people, the competitive nature is so far different than other people in the same organization.
What drives you?
Right.
You know, as a
what
leader,
is your motivation?
The first thing I got to find out with every salesperson and everybody in the organization is, man, what drives that guy? Right. That guy that comes in here and he cleans up our dealership. Okay, that guy has a drive. What's driving that guy? Is it he's got kids at home? Is it he wants to be better? Is it he wants to go buy a comic book? As a leader, if I can't find out what his drive is and try to get his box, which is here, to be here, right? I tell you guys all the time, I want you to think so far outside your box that you're trying to figure out how to create a new box. That's right. That's what we're looking for. But I think in organizations, we get so content. I mean, think about the last time you had a really good month. Right?
Yeah.
Really good month. What was your first 5 days like the next month?
Content.
Right. Dude, I'm going to tell you this, and Danny Wilson's my witness. When we have big months, I am 100 miles an hour that very next day. Yep. It's like, man, because here's the way I feel about our organization. When we have a good month, I know for a fact that we're not clicking on all cylinders. Right. I know that somebody's not doing what they can do. Somebody's not giving me 100% or 100% of the time. So my automatic push the next day is, man, how do I get that guy that's giving me 75% to give me 100%? Yeah. How do I get that 50% guy to get to 75%? Right. I'm going to make sure we're pushing. And when organizations stop pushing, when they become content and they're saying they're good is good enough, right? Then, man, I'm telling you, you got problems. And you know what? It happens so fast. It starts snowballing, and before you know it, man, it's going downhill.
You brought it up with LeBron James and Kobe and all the people you talked about, Michael Jordans of the world, of why are there a handful that are at the top? And it's because you've already said it. You can say it again.
Dude, I read a crazy story about Emmitt Smith of the Dallas Cowboys, and I remember, Josh is a huge Dallas Cowboy fan, but when I saw this video, I remember them, and I don't know if they missed the playoffs or if they won the playoffs. I don't remember how it went for Dallas, but they were saying the very next day, Emmitt was in the gym working out, and he was saying, everybody that I just beat this year, they're already trying, the guy that I eliminated 2 weeks ago, he's 2 weeks ahead of me and trying to make sure he's ready for me next year. Right. How many guys in your organization have that kind of mentality? I mean, think about how many guys, if I line everybody up in our store and I said, who has that kind of drive? Man, how many guys would raise their hand? Yeah. How many guys are willing to say, dude, I had an okay month or I had a great month? Man, how do I go make that month better? You think about Akio Toyota and the way that he pushes Toyota as a whole. It's like, dude, we're the cat's meow.
Right.
Right.
There's a reason that Toyota has elevated itself to where it's at. But what I really got out of doing the research was that it continues to grow and it continues to get better and it continues to push itself.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't say it, I mean we.
Well, do all organizations have the same drive? I mean, so I would ask, I would question all your owners out there. Mm-hmm. Man, look at your GM. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if the GM gets a cold, the rest of the guys get the flu, right? So
Correct.
wherever that leader is, you gotta really take the time to say, okay, what kind of drive and what kind of push and what kind of dreams and ambitions does my leader have? And I'm going to tell you right now, if that dude is okay with what he's making and he never has a conversation with the owner about making more money, right? If I never have a conversation with Danny Wilson about making more money, Danny should probably get rid of me. Right? Because I'm content and I'm good. And I don't have, so when you guys don't come to me and you guys don't have good months to say, how do I make it better? Man, that's a worry for me.
Right.
I want people to want to be, and it's not greed. And that's where I think people miss. That's where that word Kaizen comes in and people miss it. It's not greed. It's just that continuous improvement. Right.
And it has to almost come from within. Correct?
If it's not within,
person to person.
I'm going to tell you this.
Right.
Organizations, if it's not from within, you better have someone at the top that has that kind of push.
Right.
You know what? And then you have to know as a leader, I have to know how to push individuals because you can't just push everybody the same way, right? Everybody learns different.
Right.
Does that make sense? Right. You know,
100%.
I can say something to you a certain way and it'll drive you to be better. If I said that same thing to Brian Meehan, it may make him quit. Right. It's just a different. And as a leader, you gotta know how to coach different players.
Right.
And I think in organizations, you got so many sales managers that can't do that, or they don't feel like they have to do that. Maybe the GM isn't that way. Maybe the owner isn't that way. So you kind of manage everybody the same way. Mm-hmm. You have to be, if you want to be a great leader, you have to realize that people learn differently and people are driven by different things. Right, so
100%
I drive you guys different, but what I'm telling you is that if in your organization, if you don't have a dog, right, and I'm gonna say that if you don't have a dog, that's pushing every single day, right, I tell you guys every day, give me 100% of you, 100% of the time. And if you can't do that, dude, stay home.
That's right.
I mean, I'm gonna say, I'll tell you, stay home, dude. If you can't be in this thing mentally, there's no way you can be here physically.
And you're only hurting the customer when they walk in the door.
100%.
That's the person you're hurting.
Man, how many times you been somewhere and you can tell somebody didn't want to come to work today? Right? I mean, think about going to McDonald's. You ever go to McDonald's? You're like, hey, can I get a cheeseburger? You want cheese on it? I ordered a cheeseburger, bro. I mean, why are you asking me if I want cheese on a cheeseburger? If I wanted a hamburger, I would ask for a hamburger, right?
You would think.
So you go to all these organizations, and that's why organizations like Chick-fil-A are who they are, right? That's why, so I read this book, Danny Wilson. Encouraged
Danny
Josh
has a
and
book called Danny Wilson?
No.
Oh.
No, Danny Wilson encouraged Josh and I to read this book called The House of the Mouse or something weird like that. The Mouse. I can't remember the title of it. It's basically a story about Disney, right? And the one thing that I got tons of things out of that book, but the one thing that stuck out to me is there's a chapter in that book that he's talking about the worst thing you can do in his organization. This is Walt Disney. The worst thing you can do in his organization is say, it's not my job. That means that means the vice president's walking across the park and there's garbage. He walks past and says, I'm going to get the janitor to pick that up. Right. His big push was it's everybody's job. And when I read that book, I started thinking about Kaizen. And I'm like, dude, that's continuous improvement. That's everybody being on the same page. Everybody wanting to be great. I always go home and I'm talking to, I got a buddy of mine, I won't say who he is, that is a GM of a store. And I always tell him, we have conversations. I was like, man, I had to take the garbage out today. Our maintenance guy didn't come.
Didn't show up.
He goes, you did what? I was like, I had to take garbage out. He's like, I'd never do that. I have somebody else do that. I was like, that's your problem. I said, that's your problem. And you're too big for the garbage. Yeah. I'm just telling you, you're too big for the garbage.
Part of that goes back to taking pride in where you work.
100%.
I mean, if you have to walk by something blowing across, the pavement in between the cars and walk by it, I go back to, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Man, if you see a car with a flat tire and you go find somebody else to change that flat, you get in a car, you salespeople, you get in a car, it's out of gas, and you go tell detail that it's out of gas instead of going to gas that car. I mean, those are the kind of things when you think about Kaizen that you got to get your organization on the same page where everybody feels the same way. Right. And that's just one of those things, man. And we'll keep getting into Kaizen and how it is. And next week, I really want to talk about, next podcast, I really want to get into Genchi Genbutsu. Yeah. Because as a trainer, as the trainer here, that's the big thing I've learned over the years. The more I tell someone something, the less they retain it. The first time I tell them to go find out for themselves, the first time I hit them with a Genchi Genbutsu, they have a tendency to let it stay in there. So we're going to talk about that in the next podcast.
Cool.
But I got to say it again without saying, I really, really appreciate the ladies from the NOCC
Very much
coming
so.
in. Shonna and Deena, thank you. And thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for sharing their story. And you know what? I got to say this. I got to say thanks to Josh Holtz and Riley Tilton for actually inviting the NOCC in. I think that was a good deal. Really good deal.